What if the enemy you've been trying to overcome is not outside you and not even personal, but simply misunderstood? This verse does not blame circumstances, karma, or fate. Ribhu points to one factor and names it without hesitation: mind. Not mind as a tool, but mind as the source of misidentification. Stay with this discomfort. The mind will want to defend itself immediately. That reflex is part of what Ribhu is exposing. If this kind of direct seeing matters to you, like the video, subscribe, ring the bell, and share what you notice as you listen. You usually think of the mind as something you use. Ribhu says the mind is something you become, and that is the problem. Before accepting or rejecting, pause and look. Right now, what is shaping your sense of reality? Welcome. This is Richard Clarke. Today we look at chapter 5, verse 31 from the Song of Ribhu. The mind creates the world and the suffering. Ribhu's style is uncompromising elimination. He strips away body, mind, world, and seekers without offering substitutions, forcing direct recognition of the self. Ribhu's style is uncompromising elimination. He strips away body, mind, world, and seeker without offering substitutes, forcing direct recognition of the self. Between the mind and Sankalpa, there is not the least difference. Mind is all the worlds. Mind itself is the greatest enemy. Besides, mind itself is the great transmigration. Mind itself is birth, senility, and death. Mind itself is the great sorrow. Mind itself is the great blemish. Mind itself is time, and all such. Ribhu begins by collapsing the difference between mind and Sankalpa. Sankalpa means intention, imagination, or conceptual projection. Sankalpa is the mind's act of projecting, assuming, and fixing meaning. Mind doesn't just think, it asserts. When Ribhu says mind is all the worlds, he's not saying the physical universe is created by thought. He's saying the experienced world, the one that matters to you, is structured entirely by mental interpretation and projection. Without mind, there is no personal world. Calling the mind the greatest enemy sounds harsh until you see what he means. The mind divides. It creates before and after. It creates this and that. It turns sensation into a story with a past and imagined future. It claims ownership. It claims agency. In doing this, it can create conflict where none inherently exists. When Ribhu says the mind itself is the great transmigration, he's not talking about a soul traveling from body to body. he's pointing to the movement of identification. The mind carries memory, habit, and the sense of I, and by doing so, it creates the feeling of continuity across time. That ongoing movement gives rise to belief in birth, aging, death, and rebirth. Awareness itself does not move or migrate. Where else is there to go for being? Ribhu says transmigration is only for the mind. When mind is seen as an appearance rather than taken as identity, the sense of being a traveler in time quietly falls away. Maybe time is a traveler in me. Then Ribhu tightens the focus. Birth, aging, and death are not just biological facts. They become personal realities only through identification with the story. The mind takes perception and says, "This is happening to me." That claim turns natural change into fear, fear of loss. Sorrow follows naturally. Sorrow is from loss. Things come and then they go, and you feel loss. Loss requires attachment. Attachment requires mental ownership. This ownership is by the assumed individual. I am me, and this is mine. All of this takes place through thoughts. The blemish Ribhu points to is not thinking itself, but believing thought defines reality. What is real, and how is it known? Finally, Ribhu includes time. Past and future are mental constructions. Without mind, there is no psychological time, only what is present here and now. The mind stretches the present into worry about a future and memory of a past, and calls that story existence. For you, this first shifts the problem from events and worries of life to uprooting identification. You do not need to destroy the mind. You need to stop letting it define who you are. This also explains why fighting thoughts rarely works. The mind cannot defeat itself. Trying to silence it usually strengthens identification. Ribhu's approach is cleaner. See what the mind is doing and notice that it is seen, that the mind is known. Since you know the mind, you cannot be the mind. When you recognize mind as just an appearance rather than the authority on reality, the mind's grip loosens. Thoughts still arise, planning still happens, memory still functions, but the sense that the mind is you begins to weaken. If you are not the mind, then what is your identity? This is where freedom actually begins, not in controlling thought, but in no longer living as thought. Here is an inquiry. What is aware of the mind, its thoughts, and even the thought, I am the mind? Don't try to stop the mind, let it move. Just don't follow it blindly. Notice the space in which it appears. That space is not born, does not age, and does not die. Rest there. Keep turning inward. Namaste.